You are now listening.
You are now listening to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.
Welcome back. Lifting Our Voices, a Bmea podcast, season 3, episode 3. By the looks of things, I think we all look a little bit more lively 3 weeks into the school year versus we were looking a little tired and haggard after week 1. You all feel that way, Chris?
We got used to things.
Right?
Absolutely.
A little bit like you got your legs underneath you a little bit with the school year routines and all of that.
Yes, sir. Getting there. Still tired, but yeah, kind of getting used to the swing of things. School's definitely back in session.
Yeah.
Kids back, the whole nine. We back.
So I know we got a lot to do tonight, but real quick, just a highlight or two from the last 2 weeks professionally in the work.
Mike, start us off, man.
Yeah, I'll just say highlight for me has been not professionally, but my son is in first grade, so he's been enjoying school, and I have been enjoying getting the routine together of getting him to school, picking him up, seeing how his day went, and obviously he's doing really well. He got all his sight words mastered, and so he's doing really well in school, and so that's been pride. And then also he goes to school in the district I work in, so it's good to see that they're doing well over there. So shout out to his school.
Good. Chris.
Yeah, I kind of echo that, man. Just seeing the joy that your students, your own kids, I should say, have for school is definitely a joy. I've been able to connect with some former students who are seniors now, so that's always good. And sign that you're getting old. My birthday was also last week too, so glad to be here a year wiser, as they say. Even though
happy birthday from the show.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the show, showing that love. What's going on, you, Jerry?
I think for me, one, it's watching. So in the high school space, our seniors and our juniors, they were with us before the pandemic, right? So it's been interesting to kind of get to know them and their 16 and 17 and 18-year-old version versus their 14 and 15-year-old version before the pandemic. And then I think just for our younger kids, just seeing what their new personalities are. Every grade kind of has its own energy to it, and like our sophomores, there's like a skate team now that we didn't have that energy before at our school, and so they're skating all over the place. So it's just been great to have that kid energy around while we still sort of sort out some of the things that we need to sort out. But definitely feels a lot more routine, and things feel a lot more smoother in week 3. So
to that point, Jerry, man, I'm glad you brought that up, because I would say like a highlight for me.
You can see that these high schools.
The 9th grade and 10th graders are really like new to us, right?
And rally James Whitfield.
We got
Whitfield found
himself. That was me. My bad.
Okay, no problem. So the 9th and 10th graders are like both freshmen to us, because we didn't see the 10th graders last year.
Yeah.
And this week I was able to talk to 2 kids who had some conflict going on. And really, I think like the biggest like moral from both of them was just like these kids are really wound up tight and stressed out.
Yeah.
And like the littlest things are setting them over the top and causing like these conflicts. But being able to have those conversations and like get them to kind of come to a resolution and learn how like to kind of restore relationships has been really it makes me feel good. So it was that was a good highlight of my week for sure.
Yeah, I think that to the restorative piece, it's been interesting to see how quickly some of that, and not even quick, it's been a while since we've been out, right? How some of that can leave sort of the mindset that, at our school, we handle things very restoratively, but when our kids have been away from us for 18 months, they lose some of that skill set. And so redeveloping that part, especially, and seeing it click for them, like, oh yeah, like we can just handle it this way. That's been cool. So I know we got some hot topics, people up to some nonsense again, as always. So Mike, I know you want to kick us off, or Chris?
Yeah. Definitely. I want to start off, man. It's a story out of let me get this right. Grapevine, Cooleyville Independent School District, which is in Texas, by the way. The school principal Dr. James Whitfield. He's been on leave, and is the board actually voted there unanimously 7-0 Monday not to renew his contract. So there's a lot of controversy around this because, you know, he was a beloved principal, Black man, by the way, and people were speculating, okay, well, why is this happening, right? Now, the board has cited, oh, he's been unprofessional in some of his evaluations, and he had a picture of himself and his wife kissing on their anniversary on Facebook. But if you dig deeper in the story, a board member back in July, a former board member accused him of being an advocate for critical race theory. And ever since that claim came to light, it seems like there's been a lot of like just dirt thrown on his name. And now since they're trying to actually come up with these other reasons. So he has a lawyer, and, you know, if he is terminated, they plan on bringing a lawsuit. But I've been reading a few different articles on this, so there's been a lot of parent and student support. So this is one of them stories I think in 2 weeks we have to come back and revisit, but I think it's interesting. I think this is something that we could have predicted may happen because he's denied trying to bring critical race theory college level courses to his school, but this is like a reason that a district is threatening to get rid of him. I think that's very interesting. It's almost predictable what happened last school year and the last, you know, few months of the Trump administration, and which just became a hot rod topic.
So we're kind of seeing it was newsworthy. Now we're seeing the action behind the headlines, right? But all I keep thinking about is if I was the principal, right, and I have all the student and family support, and if they're able to break down the board and I'm able to come back, do you come back?
That's a good.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you come back, you do it for the families, right? The school community. But the school board not being on the same page of this the family and community says something. And it also, to me, kind of sounds like he's probably a Black administrator in maybe a mostly white district. That's what it sounds like, because to me, it didn't seem like a district of color would probably have an issue, even if he was talking about critical race theory. Right. I just feel like they are, and you can look in the article. It mentions like they cited a whole bunch of other unprofessional things that really were never brought to his attention. So I think that's, like you said, I think we're going to start seeing this happen more often than not, where school boards are trying to get rid of any type of school leadership that is proponent of culture responsive teaching or critical. I mean, they keep using critical race theory, but that's not what they mean, right? I think we all agree that's not what they mean. They mean teaching anything that's the truth, any culture responsive teaching, or any points of like historical oppression about race. So,
Chris, before you jump back in, I just want to give Mike a shout out for referencing the text. For any students that are watching, you always want to reference the text when you're making claims. So shout out to you, Mike. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. And I was also going to say, like, back to your question, like, do you want to be there? You probably don't, but at the same time, you have so many connections, right? Like a lot of people, as educators, I think we do the work. Mostly we fall in love with the students in that space, your colleagues. So it probably has a commitment to them, but I ain't gonna lie. If I was him, maybe after this year, I'm
exploring other options.
I'm exploring my other options, but I wouldn't want to leave in the middle of the year. But hey, if they push me out too much, then sometimes that just has to happen. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I'm at least exploring other options at the end of the year. If we can maybe reconcile some things, maybe. Then we can have that conversation. But all right, so Texas got nonsense going on. Well, Mike, I know the story you're about to bring to us
is Texas again. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. So I mean, what's been a big story in the news is those images of the Border Patrol whipping or grabbing up Haitian refugees who have been coming over from Central America, crossing the water trying to get into America. Obviously Haiti has been ravaged by not only natural disasters, but also economic oppression from European countries, France being the main proprietor, as well as the US. So, the images were jarring. I think Biden just mentioned that he was looking for a private sector to open Guantanamo Bay to house these refugees. And once again, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Detention centers again for people coming from south of the border. None of that happening from anyone coming from the north or from the European country. So it's just more of the same, ridiculousness.
Yeah, I've had my head down a lot being back in school, and so I saw the pictures before I heard the news, right? And I'm like, what are these pics? Because it looks crazy, and then you do the reading behind it, and then it's even crazier. Like, I just never I've seen it before. I haven't seen it in the 21st century, right? I didn't even know they still ride horses like that at the border. Because have you ever seen it with our friends from South America? Have you seen them on horses like that?
Nah, well, I haven't, especially not with what looks to be like a whip or some kind of. And so what's so crazy about this, man? I was literally me and CJ, my son, we were reading this book on the life of Barack Obama, like a kid's book, but I'm talking to him about the period of slavery in America, right? Like CJ been, he's heard of it, but we were kind of talking about like just oppression in this country and the fact that I'm like, this country hasn't always been good for every, especially the black people like us. And then I was probably like the next day, these images popping up, and it's like, we sometimes forget, and those pictures, if I put them in black and white, I could have said, hey, this was, back then, but no, this is actually 2021. So I think it's just, very disheartening, man. And honestly, we got to have a talk on Biden. I know we did a lot of talking on Trump, during his 4 years, but I'm not really, it's been a few things that's happened that I'm not really happy with the Biden administration. And, we'll say that topic for another day, but I think we have to definitely,
Biden, come on the show. We got to talk to you.
Yeah. Come on to Bmea podcast. We got some questions for you.
Got to chat.
I think the irony of even us mentioning those two stories is, one, people denying that race plays an issue in the history of this country, and then this country doing something that definitely involves race, right? So it's just, like that meme, like it's right there, it's right there in front of your face.
So Texas got to figure some things out. They got a lot going on right now. A lot. We didn't even discuss the abortion stuff.
We didn't.
So and that's a whole other look. All of our Texas friends, we're thinking about you. So we got two very familiar guests tonight for BMEA. But before we get to them, we have some things happening. Mike, you want to tell us about what's new with BMEA?
Yeah, so the school year gets started, and that's our favorite time of the year. Yeah. So what we have coming up on the 25th is our first session for our early career teacher fellowship. Shouts out to all our applicants who have applied and got accepted. So we'll be meeting with them for the first time on the Saturday for our first session. So super excited about that. And then on October 2nd, the BMEA annual conference is back. We have a lot of special guests. Chris Emden, big fan of the show. Yes, friend of the show, really, because we've had him on before. We have Dr. Dorinda Carter Andrews, who's a friend of the show as well, definitely a friend of BMEA, as well as Dr. Cesare Warren, who's once again friend of the show, but also three really dope educators, great speakers, and so the show is going to be amazing. The conference is going to be amazing. Brandon Lane, also a member of BMEA, is going to be speaking a little bit about restorative practices. So it's going to be a dope experience.
Silver coming back.
Yeah.
Her on the show.
The show. We got to get them all together in one space so people can get all that magic for one space. So shout out to Silver Moore. And make sure you guys register. BMEA conference. It's free, open to everyone. Just make sure you guys register, and we'll see you next Saturday.
What's up? So tonight's episode is really, we want to talk about why we do the work, right? Why does BMEA exist, right? And we thought there was nobody better to bring on, right? then CEO and founder. And he's not even a friend of the show. What's the title? We'll let him figure it out when he gets here. Welcome back, original. You two are the original host of the podcast, but the second wave, and CEO and founder of Bmea, Dr. Curtis Lewis.
Mute yourself.
I'm on mute. Trying to contain myself in the back. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man? This looks familiar, right? This little force.
Everybody miss us.
Man, I want to get back on. I was ready, just like let me in, but I control myself.
You can't do everything, man. You know how you are.
You got other things to do. So, welcome back.
Yes, sir.
It's been a minute. How was your summer?
Summer was good. Summer was very reflective. It was good. You know, gearing up for a lot of things in the works, as you guys just mentioned. So, summer was good. I got to relax. It was hot, rainy. You know, I know, rainy.
Rainy.
Anyone else? Was I the only person that turned the heat on last night? Or
No, I'm not doing that, bro.
You turn it on, Mike.
You can't turn the heat on to November.
It's gonna be 75 tomorrow.
Listen,
I turn it off.
Y'all spend money. I can't believe y'all stingy.
I like the $45 consumer's energy bill.
At this point in my life, I can't be too cold or too hot. So I just had to
do what you want.
100%.
Just don't come over my house thinking I'm about to cut the heat on. You better bring your little heater with you.
So, Doc, tonight is Dr. Lewis. Is that what we're doing tonight? Or are you friend of the show? What are we doing?
Hey, I was like, let me put this PhD at the bottom just in case people forget, you know.
Yeah.
I throw it out there every once in a while.
Okay, so Dr. Lewis,
I'm
we're
Curtis,
here to talk
please
about
call me Curtis. Please call me Curtis.
Curtis, we are here to talk about why.
Yeah.
Why does Bmea exist? Can you tell us just a little bit about the origin story?
Oh man, it is a long story, so I'll be short. I mean, we know the why. I mean, even what you guys talked about with the Haitians, the folks coming over, I'm calling immigrants coming over, and even the story of the black male principal down in Texas. I mean, those are all like the why we do this work, right? And we know too many folks have gone through schools without seeing a black male educator. In a lot of cases, just a black male teacher or a teacher of color in their K-12 experience. And so what we're focused on is recruiting, engaging, and supporting the development of black male educators and also educators in general. Our fellowship has sort of expanded. Now we are including women, which is long overdue. So very excited about our first co-ed fellowship starting on Saturday. But in essence, you know, we're doing this work, and Bmea is just not only to develop black male educators, black female educators, educators in general, but to really think about how we need to transform and rethink schools. So we do a lot of work in schools as well around our framework of liberating learners. So that's as quick as I can.
That was good. Elevator. It was good.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up in terms of transforming schools. I think, you know, what you mentioned is that you see that there's an issue in how education is set up currently, right? We talk about transforming education in the work that we do. So what does it look like to you in terms of transforming education? Like what are we trying to change, and what does that look like on the other end of it?
Man, don't get me started on. Okay, so
it's your space.
You only got me for 5 minutes, man. So
are you speaking at the conference, Curtis?
I'm gonna do the opening, but I can do it.
You got a little bit more time there.
Yeah, I do got more time.
RSVP.
In other words, Jerry said, "Give me 2 minutes." So, man, like you would think this pandemic, and we talked about this on the podcast, it would change people's perspective and like re-energize or reignite or whatever. Or ignite, because I don't know, people was ignited before. So reignite may be the wrong use of the prefix. However, I think it's time for us to rethink how we doing schools, right? Like what we teaching. Half of the stuff we teaching in schools don't matter. I can Google who the 15th president was. I can Google some constitutional, I can Google a lot of these things, right? So all these very rote learning mechanics that we used to do back in the day are still present there here, and all the classes that actually perpetuates that is still there too. And so what people have realized, what our parents have realized, what our students have realized is, man, we can do some stuff outside of school. There's a lot of things that can happen outside of that school space. And so what schools have to do, which I don't think they're doing, partly because they don't want to, they don't know how. And three, there's policies starting at the state level, the federal level, because you know money is tied to decisions you make, that is preventing people from really doing what we need to be doing, right? And so when we talk about transforming schools, like I'm not talking about just like, yeah, we're going to be culturally responsible. I'm talking about like how we do school, how many hours kids need to be in school, what classes kids need to take, what's required, standards. We talk about standards. Like who created these standards? What don't okay, yeah, I'm sorry. But anyway, it's so much. I'm at a point now, really, and this is like, you know, y'all's heard me before. I'm like, yeah, we can do this with it. I'm almost like, we need to like just do our own. We start this joint, and I know some people gonna hate. No, I ain't gonna go there right now. But anyway, get to a point where we really are rethinking and reimagining schools that goes beyond just what we're doing in the classroom, but the policies that are preventing us from doing what we need to do in the classroom. Like that all go hand in hand. So when you got the state climbing down on you when you can't make decisions that make sense to allow you to reimagine, then we're stuck in like doing sort of very small, minute things that really ain't reimagining school. Okay, I'm gonna stop. All right.
Yeah. No, but you preaching though. You preaching though.
There's more at the conference. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, actually, and I want to actually bring it up. I know it's kind of we see us, but for anyone who wasn't sure, you know, our theme this year is building a coalition to liberate learners. As Mike said, you can register online. Also, we have the QR code if you want to scan that right now. But I want to hear from you, Dr. Lewis. Like, what can people expect from the conference?
We beginning this conversation. What we talk about is building this coalition, a community of people that are aligned around what this really looks like. Like when we talk about reimagining, reinventing, whatever school, this conference is an opportunity for us to begin to think about what this looks like. What are the possibilities? You know, one of our guests, Dr. Cesare Warren, I usually have his book over here somewhere, but I must have moved it. Talked about the possibilities. Here you go. Centering possibilities. I'm pushing this book here. Centering possibilities in Black education, right? And the thing about this book that I like, and I haven't finished reading it, but the parts that I've read, what I like is giving us a possibility of what schools could be, right? And so what we want to do in this conference is give people ideas, strategies of like how we need to rethink this in our current structure, but also begin to mobilize and how we begin to recreate or create the schools that are going to be supportive to what we're trying to do and what our kids need. If we're not teaching the economics and kids on how to manage their money and how to manage economics in general, because economics is how this world works, right? If we don't teach that in our school, or we're adamant about not teaching it in our schools, then that's problematic, right? So if we want to focus on calculus, it's cool. That's going to people going to need that. But there's a lot of kids who don't. So what about student choice? So those are the things we're going to be talking about, really pushing our thinking. So if you're ready to get on the boat, if you're ready to get on this train to begin to rethink how we do this work, this conference is for you. We're not just talking. It's free. But first of all, it's free. I'm saying it again, it's free. So we gonna cover that. It's free, and you're gonna get free knowledge around how we can begin to build a coalition to start doing this work for real and not just talking about it.
Well, I was going to ask you to give a quick pitch for Saturday, so we don't need to ask you that. That was it. I'm sure if people were thinking about coming, they're coming now. So again, RSVP at Bmea of Michigan.org. I never really had to transition you out before.
Hey, that's okay. Look, it's been real. I can stay on.
You transition yourself out.
I can stay on if I want to, but I'm not gonna do that.
You could.
I appreciate you guys. That good stuff, good work, and no, for real, come join us on the 2nd. Come join what we're trying to do. Like we're not, and I'm gonna say this one thing, y'all. I'm sorry. I feel like I got the executive privilege here. Here's what I want to say this. if you are like, we're in this work because we're about this work. We ain't here. I mean, like y'all, we working on a very small budget. We working our butts off to make these things work for our community, for our students. And so this work is in our heart, right? And so we're not doing this to get notoriety. We're doing this because it matters to our kids. And so if you are interested in being a part of, like, this is like the revolution. This is a revolution. What we're trying to do, reimagining schools is a revolution, right? There is a structure in this country that has been built to keep people in certain places, right? And so we're here to dismantle that, not only as Black male educators, but as educators in general. So whoever you are, if you're about that life, come join us. Join us October 2nd. Participate in our podcast, participate in our quarterlies, sign up, donate, because we can't do this for free. Donate to Bmea. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'm done.
All right, man. Thanks for being here.
We never had anyone, I guess, exit themselves out of here. So shout out to Curtis for making our jobs a little easier tonight. All right. So if you weren't fired up about the conference, well, one, I'm not really sure what you were listening to, but we got somebody else that maybe can take a crack at getting you fired up for the conference. And so our next guest is an early career teaching fellow, alum, Marcus Sumrall. Please welcome Marcus to the show.
Hey, what's up? I can't match brother Lewis, man. He get me fired up every time I hear him speak too. So,
well, you might, for the folks who maybe don't need that, you might offer them something too. You got something to offer, Marcus. So for the folks who
testimony, man. I'm happy to be here.
So tell the listeners, the viewers, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump in.
Well, I am a early educator still. I'm only in my second year of teaching, but it's been like a long time thing. Like, it's been a passion thing. I went to school originally a long time ago to be a teacher. I got detoured, but I never lost the desire or the passion to teach. And I just set a goal. I always credit Mike Payne. I met Mike a couple years ago. We was doing some work. I was doing some other work, but he had the Bmea table. It was a Skillman event, and I was just instantly, if for sure, like, relit the flame. And it was like, you met this dude for a reason. This organization exists for a reason, and you got to do something. Like, I was doing recruitment stuff, but I felt like I needed to, like, this is bigger than like trying to help find the positions. Like, you need to be in the positions. And like, me and Mike just always stayed in touch. Our kids play sports together. So it was a no-brainer. So I hit him up. I said, I'm coming, man. And he just like helped me along the way. And like, Bmea has been everything I needed whenever I needed it. My first year, I started teaching in the pandemic. It was virtual. Never seen nothing like it. Nobody ever seen nothing like it. I felt prepared because it was, I forgot what our summer fellowship was, but that summer fellowship was my like student teaching. Like, that was my training to be ready to walk into, the classroom for whatever it was. I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? So walked in there, I was ready every day. I was happy to be there because like, this is what I wanted to do. Like, this is God's work. Like, it's bigger than me. I know it's bigger than me right now. So I'm here doing God's work every day. I know black, my quote, I can't usually say it, but I can say it here, but black kids need black teachers.
Facts.
Period. Period. Like, that's like this. Yeah. Black kids need black teachers. So that's me in a nutshell. Father, transplant Detroiter. I drank the water. I moved. I planted the seeds here. The roots are here. Born and raised in Flint. It's always still Flint over everything. But I'm here in Detroit.
That's what's up, man. So I don't know if I ever knew that story with you and Mike. That's pretty cool. That's pretty dope to hear.
Yeah, I gotta give my guy his stuff, man. But he didn't say, like, it wasn't like him saying like, oh man, you know, he didn't do no big recruitment. It was just like, man, we hit it off, man. You know, we had one thing in common with the old gold. You know what I'm saying? The other color varies, but so it's like, yo, but I like this dude. And it was just like, you know, whatever. But I'm like, the work is what he's talking about. It was like, no, it's time to stop playing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said,
Right.
I worked in nonprofits for years, like 10, 15 years, nonprofit work. So I always was connected and working in the community, working with youth in some, you know, avenue, but I always had the desire to teach. One of my mentors, so she works at Eastern Michigan. I graduated from Eastern Michigan, but doing recruitment work, I would go to my alma mater, of course, college education. Like, oh, we got to get kids to tutor, mentor, teach, all of these things. And I just sat down with her one day. We talked for an hour. It was nothing to do about recruitment. And she just knew that I wanted to teach. And she said, Marcus is going to haunt you. So it's Regina George, not to be confused with the Mean Girls, but Regina George, she said, it's going to haunt you. She said, because them little kids need you. So until you get in the classroom, you're going to always feel like nothing is enough. And I haven't felt more fuller, like working, like in a career ever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like every day I know what I'm there for.
It's funny, Marcus, you say that, you know, Regina said it'll haunt you. And I feel like even when you're in the work, it kind of haunts you because you're just constantly thinking about, you know, I could do this better. I could do this better for the kids. Do you feel that way too, being in the work at this point?
100%. So like I'm at a different school right now.
Yeah.
So it's a new school, whole new thing. I'm teaching 4th grade, never taught 4th grade, self-contained. So it's a whole new experience, but it's I want to give them more. Like it's nobody asking for more, but I know they deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like the parents are they not asking for more? The school not asking me for more. But I'm like, I know it. Like the first day I met, we had like a block party type of thing. I met some of the parents, some of the kids, and like my school is small. It's a small school. Like enrollment is really not crazy. So we meet the kids. First little girl I met, they're like, oh, she in 4th grade. I said, I'm gonna be the teacher. She's like, I ain't never had a man teacher before, but she's kind of scared because kids haven't seen a man, so they just feel like, what's a man teacher? So I'm like I'm the boogeyman to some of them at first. Because it's like, all I know is girl teachers. Like this whole building was probably girl teachers before we got there. But I was like, well, I'll make a deal with you. I said, if by June, I said, I'll give you $10 if I'm not your favorite teacher by the end of June.
I don't know a whole lot about elementary school kids, but I can assume they'll remember that bet
She forgot the bet now. But before we went into it, like in my school, they said like our goal was to get over 85% of attendance. My kids come every day.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Like I may have one kid missing, or you know what I mean, but they come every day. That girl, I bet she ain't missed a day.
That's what's up. So Mark, let's go back just a little bit slightly in the story.
Let's go.
When you got into the early career teacher fellowship,
the life-changing fellowship. Let's say that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, like, what was good about it? What impact did it have?
I mean, the biggest thing is so being in the fellowship. I know it's the stat that's only 2% of Black males in education. You don't feel that because we all you just get to. It's a fraternity of sorts. Mm-hmm. So you get in fraternities, like I'm in a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. You get in organizations to be around like-minded individuals. This is a very small niche group of Black males who are here to teach. Like nobody is making us teach. Everybody in that fellowship could have been in any different industry, any different field. But we all have the same passion, and that's to make sure little Black kids. We in Detroit, we had a couple fellows, we had somebody in Texas, we had somebody in Kalamazoo, but we working with little Black kids. And so you have to want to be there, right? And then you get the tools, you get the leadership who are in leadership roles, who are either deans or doing curriculum, training teachers. And so you have this support directly. Like, you know what I mean? And so you have brothers you can text. Like, it's not an organization where people are like, oh, yeah, just email me. Like, no, you texting people. And you texting them like, man, I'm stuck here. What can I do? You know what I mean? And so, like, we spend time and we talk about education still, even off time. And it's just good to build with the brothers because we all going through the same thing. Like, we were all over the city. Like, we were all in different schools and everything, but the experiences were the same. Why are the experiences the same? You know what I mean? And so, but it kind of helps you grow. And just knowing you had that support, like different fields, everybody's in different grades, everybody's teaching different subjects, but these best practices overlap no matter where you at. And so, and just knowing that you got like a group of like skilled educators by, Brandon is able to help you with science, and he made sure that my lesson planning was tight. And so like him, like tapping into that, like I said, I switched schools. So now I'm doing self-contained, and it's like at my school, I was the only person who turned in lesson plans on time. I didn't want to, but I was able to pull, like those skills from that and just having those conversations. And it's like able to expand and just have, like the dialogue. And it's more or less about just feeding our kids, man.
So we know, you said this is your second year in the classroom?
Second year in the classroom,
yeah. And you went to school, obviously. So the question is, what do you think our schools need right now, just based on your experience? Yeah, keep it short. Keep it short.
Schools need love, man. Schools need love. Schools need grace. I think everybody that's in there, we all fighting a big fight right now. I think the biggest thing you want your leadership to like acknowledge your efforts. A little bit goes a long way. You just want parents to know, like, we adjusting. Like, your baby don't know how to wear a mask, and I'm trying to keep me and the whole school safe along with your kid. Just give us some grace. But the school, we just need teachers who want to teach too. It's still too many people in the buildings who are there because they feel like they have to be, and not because they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Appreciate that.
Well, then we have one more question, man. We're gonna let you go. I know you're dropping a lot of bars, man.
Yeah, yeah.
What will be your advice for, a brother listening to this podcast that is thinking about entering education? Well, maybe they're not currently in the field, but they, had that itch like you. Like, what would your advice be?
If you got the itch, the time is now. Like everywhere is hiring. I think one perk that I had, I came in as a specialist teacher. I was a technology teacher. That gave me the opportunity to see several grades. I was able to decide who I work well with, who I don't work, like who's my favorites, who's my least favorites. And so now when it's time to, plant your feet into the field, you kind of know, like, all right, this is the grade that I can move the most mountains on here. So that's why I kind of landed in fourth. Like, I agreed on like 4 or 5. So I'm thinking like 4, 5, 6 will be kind of where I like make my rounds. But don't do it if you don't want to do it. Like, don't just take it because you think it's like, I know I can get a job here. Don't take that approach. You have to want to teach. Like, in any time, if I interview, whatever I interview for, like, I want to teach. I don't have to. That's the difference between me and whatever applicant you're going to have before or after me. I want to be here. And again, Black kids need Black teachers. So.
Man, he's hired, by the way.
Yeah, that's your.
I wasn't sure. You hired. He has a job. Okay.
Because we about to get some emails tonight. Like, are you looking to teach still, bro?
Are you happy where you currently are?
Man, what? Come over to death row, But
that's it. I
man. But hey, Marcus, man. Once again, like, just even going back to how we met. But like, I don't think I recruit brothers. I think that I help them listen to their heart, and your heart already was leading you in the right place, man. I just help you get there, man. So much love and appreciation for all you do for the kids, man. And thank you for joining the show. I'm gonna see you later because this is also the coach of the Blue Barracudas, one of the best soccer teams in Rosedale. So shout out to my guy. But yeah, man, thank you so much for joining the show, man. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, Jer, here go another one of them things that Mike be keeping to, him and little Mike. You know what I mean? He
Blue Barracudas. I need a shirt.
Right. You got the whole squad. They coach it. That's all good.
Come join Death Row, man. That's all I say, man. Come bring the kids, man.
And we were not trying to coach either.
Yeah.
But black fathers step up. Black
soccer players need black coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man. We'll catch up with you, Marcus.
All right. I'm sure y'all have a good night.
Yep.
So I know we're running out of time, but so the Blue Barracudas, real quick. That's the team. That's the squad.
6 and 7 soccer team, man.
6 and 7 age, not the record, right?
No, age. Yeah. Okay. They don't really keep score at that age bracket, but we're a solid squad, man.
Okay.
And
they keep score, it'd be Yeah. We and the rain is raining us out this weekend, but yeah, no, it's exciting, man. I love coaching the kids, but even with the coaching, as Marcus said, like, it's about the kids. I think you just got to have that passion for working with children, and I think about this work that we're trying to do in changing education and recruit more black men. I think it's really, like, to his point, just inspiring them to follow their heart, because you'll see it once you get in here. You'll see your purpose, and that's what we need. Something Marcus said, I wrestle with it a lot, this idea of, like, you really got to love the work that you do, because I feel like a lot of folks don't, right? A lot of folks don't love the work that they do. And so that idea can be intimidating, right? Like, man, I don't know if I love this, I like it, but I agree with Marcus. Like, you have to really have to be a part of who you are if you're going to do the work effectively over time. Right, you might have 1 year, good year, 2 good years, but if you don't love it, that's gonna trail off.
And this ain't no office job. This isn't like people go to work and they leave work at home immensely, they leave work at the job, or there's just something that they're doing to pay the bills. This is not it. Like, this is a passion. This is changing the culture. Like, this is improving the community. So, I'm not saying teaching isn't hard at all, but we all know that, like, what we do is important, and what we do makes a real impact. So
see it every day.
Absolutely.
So if you didn't know why Bmea exists, I think you should know now. If you weren't planning on being at the conference next weekend, you should probably be there. What else? Yeah, you see it.
If you're thinking about teaching, come holler at us.
Yeah, okay. We're just gonna keep going with it. We're just gonna keep coming with the Suge Knight energy tonight.
Yeah, you're tired of your boss all in your face.
Yeah,
dancing around your cubicle.
Come teach.
Come teach.
All right. So if you don't, here you go. Thank you, Hines. So again, Mike's gonna give us the rundown, everything Bmea got going before we head out for the night. One more time, Mike.
Yes, sir. This Saturday, our first ETTF session 1. Shouts out to those new applicants. They're gonna love it, like Marcus said. And October 2nd, once again, the Bmea annual conference. Make sure you register. All right, we have great speakers. It's gonna be great energy, and we're gonna inspire you to follow your heart to teach. So go ahead and join us, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Chris, anything before we close this out?
Nope, nothing from me, man.
Be there on Saturday. Otherwise, we appreciate you all tuning in tonight. If you don't follow us already on all of the socials at Bmea of Michigan, share the podcast, subscribe to it, and we'll be back in 2 weeks, October 7th, same time, same place. We'll be even better school shape October 7th, and we'll have a whole lot to recap from the conference. And so we look forward to seeing everybody. This is Lifting Our Voices, a Bmea podcast.
You are now listening.
You are now listening to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.